What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dark Professor, Dark Joker with this week's view. And this week, I'm going to do a Kingdom Hearts theory video about Verum Rex. So, Verum Rex is the video game, that was shown on in Toy Box and Kingdom Hearts 3. So I'm going to go over, what we know about it, what my theories are regards, what, one, if the game will actually get made like in real life, what the story would be, what the characters will be, well, and so yeah, with all that being said, on with the video. First off, let's go over what we know about Verum Rex. So, Verum Rex is an in-universe game within the world of Toy Box and Kingdom Hearts 3. So, as probably a lot of people know, Toy Box, that's the world in Kingdom Hearts that's based off of the Toy Story franchise. And so the game Verum Rex, it takes place in a city called Quadranum, and we know Quadranum is going to be a hub world for Sora and Kingdom Hearts 4 in Unreality. Now, it's believed by a lot of people to be inspired by Tetsuya Nomura's plans for Final Fantasy Versus 13. Now, of course, as people know, he was involved with that. At the same time, he was, Kingdom Hearts 3 was being developed, and due to, I guess, delays with both games, he was basically removed from it, from Versus 13, so he could focus on Kingdom Hearts 3, and that led to Versus 13 becoming Final Fantasy 15. And so Yuzora is the main character of Verum Rex, and he was compared to Sora by Rex, who when Rex, the green dinosaur from Toy Story, saw Sora, he assumed it was Yuzora. Like, even though there's a obvious hair color difference and eye color difference. Yeah, and so, Sora fought Yuzora in the secret episode, in the Remind DLC in Kingdom Hearts 3. And, and basically, like, because, the Nameless Star, you know, told Sora that, she was waiting for someone, and the name was Yuzora, which is why Sora was confused. And now Yuzora in Japanese means night sky. And so sky, Sora's name, obviously translates to sky, you know, from Japanese, and night, basically same, translates from basically so night sky, Yuzora, and so that's led to a lot of comparisons of Yuzora to Noctis Lucius Kylim from Final Fantasy 15, the main protagonist. So that's where that whole bit is where there's a lot why people think versus 13 was a heavily inspired Nomura to make the Verum Rex stuff, because you have a guy with Knight in his name, yeah, and you have Noctis, so and then you have Skull at Kylum, Kylum being Noctis's last name. So of course that led to a lot of comparison that okay, versus 13, so it's going to get brought into Kingdom Hearts, and so honestly, I think a lot of that looks freaking cool. And so, because I mean, the Verum Rex trailer shown in Toy Box, which I remember when I first played Kingdom Hearts 3 and I got to the Toy Box level and you start with like the Verum Rex trailer. I was watching, I was like, oh wait, what the heck is going on? Like, I thought it was supposed to be in Toy Story World. What is this? And it's showing me a trailer. I was like, oh, this looks freaking awesome. Oh yeah, and that's that trailer has led to a lot of people wanting an actual Verum Rex game. Anyway, so the Nameless Star, is the female character shown in that trailer, and she befriended Sora, during his time in the final world. We don't know how she got there. Like there's I'm sure like Kingdom Hearts 4 will explain that, you know. And then so the two dudes who are with Yozora in that trailer. Their real names haven't been shown, but they've been nicknamed, Magia and Aegis. So Magia is Latin for magic, Aegis is Latin for shield. Whether or not that's going to be their real names, I don't know. Like, like I guess you could say they're like working names, because sometimes some characters and sometimes some titles for shows, movies, video games, all that, you have working titles or working names before a final name is given. And basically Mog and Aegis are serving as those names right now. And then you have the Gigas, are mechas that play a major role in, I guess, the combat of Verum Rex. So obviously they seem to be like, enemies that Yuzora, Magi, and Aegis will fight, and I guess maybe pilot, as shown, in Toy Box, the gimmick, because each, world in Kingdom Hearts 3, had a little gimmick associated with it. And Toy Box, it was, you could pilot the Gigas to like basically do like do some extra damage, and honestly, it was really fun to be in the Gigas. And so, and Luxor's human forms, heavily implied to be a character in the game, based on, if you beat Yozora in Secret Episode, you have the ending where you have, a guy who looks like Luxor, driving the limo, or driving the car, or whatever, where it's a limo or not. And Bahamut's a boss in the game, based on Rex's words saying he leveled up so much a lot, but he couldn't beat Bahamut. So seems like Bahamut's a boss, where he's a secret boss or like a story, like a main story boss. I don't know. Like I'm guessing it's gonna be very hard, and I'm sure that will be a if we get a real game, if we get an actual Verum Rex game, I'm sure that'll be a fight everyone's gonna try to find. I'm gonna get into my theories regarding Verum Rex. Before we get into like what the story of a Verum Rex game would be and what characters will appear, we need to answer whether or not a Verum Rex game will actually be made in real life. I think the answer is yes. With the tease we got in Kingdom Hearts 3, with obviously the trailer in Toy Box, then all the stuff we saw within the Toy Box world, like the action figures, Sora getting trapped in the game itself, and all that, like, and then the secret ending, and then the secret episode of the Rebuy DLC. Like, basically, there's like a demand for a Verum X game, and because it would the gameplay probably be a little different from like a lot of your Kingdom Hearts games, probably different type of combat, different enemies and all that. And so like now, obviously there'll be some like gameplay that'd be very similar, I think, to Kingdom Hearts. Now, as for how the game will start, I think it's gonna start with Sora and his friends starting the game. Like they cut on the console, whatever it is, like in universe. I don't think they would use a real life console. They basically have an in universe console. Like I don't know, but like I don't know what they would call it. Like it would be like probably kind of like a reference to a real life console. They just wouldn't give it a name. And so basically, you have a funny scene of Sora who, based on the scene in Kingdom Hearts 2 where him and Donald were having trouble operating Ansem's computer, it's safe to say Sora would struggle with cutting on the game console and starting the video game. So I'm sure there'd be a funny scene of like, whoever's with them, Donald, Goofy, especially Donald, basically getting onto him for not knowing how to cut on the game console. Because I mean, on Destiny Islands, I don't know how advanced technology is on Destiny Islands. Like, because there's only so much of that village of the village we've seen. Most we've seen Destiny Islands as well. The island that serves as like the playground. like you don't really explore around the village. Now, if Deathly Islands becomes a playable world in future games, we probably will travel around that village. And who knows, Sora might actually go down for dinner this time. And yeah, but yeah, basically, so so basically Sora is controlling Yozora. So he's like using the game console, the controls and all that to control Yozora, and we're controlling Sora. So we're controlling Sora, who's controlling Yozora. That is some Inception type crap right there. And now I think the secret ending or the post credit scene will show Sora and his friends going over what they learned from the game. Now, why Sora and his friends are playing the game and why they're going to go over what they learned, I'm going to go over that, you know, next slide. So, for the story of Verum Rex, I think how it was written was I think the Master of Masters actually created the game. I think he used his own memories, from before Key, and then all the events that he sees through the gazing eye, where it's past, present, future, and so the past, present, future events within the Kingdom Hearts series, along with the story of Final Fantasy Versus 13, are basically the inspiration for the story of Verum Rex. So basically, a lot of like I guess the character designs, the the world designs, that will be where a lot of the versus 13 stuff will come into play, and maybe some of the naming of the characters, but it probably some events of story, but like you'll see a lot like the events within Kingdom Hearts where it's stuff from games that have already been made, games that have been canceled like Missing Link, and games that have yet to release yet like Kingdom Hearts 4, which I guess by the time a Verum Rex game would release would be a past game, and games that release after Verum Rex. And so it'll give us you know, a tease for what the rest of the Kingdom Hearts series, you know, will be as far as story is concerned. And I think the game will contain Easter eggs meant to give Sora and his allies clues, for how to defeat the 13 Darknesses. Now, for the characters of Verum Rex, I think they're all going to be based on characters within the Kingdom Hearts franchise, both past and future. And it'd be similar to like what Twisted Wonderland does, where if you've ever played Twisted Wonderland or watched the TV show, which the TV show is actually good, um, the characters are based off of Disney villains. So I think Verum Rex will be based off. They'll be like basically anime-looking villains, anime-looking characters based off of Kingdom Hearts characters. Yeah, I think Yozora is gonna be based off of Sora and Riku. Now, Yozora, like his heart or whatever, is gonna be based off of Sora. Now, his body, the body is Korean. Whoever's body it is gonna be more based off Riku. So whoever that character is, like basically like which is probably gonna be some given some name regarding Earth or whatever will probably be like basically that would be like the Riku like character, and basically it'll be a dynamic between them. Now the nameless star, I think she's based on Kairi, and I think her name is going to be Umi, which is Japanese for sea. And I think Magia, whatever his name is going to end up being, he's based off of Donald Duck. Aegis, whatever his name is going to be, he's based off of Goofy. Now Luxord, whatever his human name is, I think he's based off of Mickey Mouse, and here is why. So one is process of elimination. Izora being based off of Sora and Riku, Umi being based off of Kairi, Magi being based off of Donald, Aegis being based off of Goofy. So by process of elimination, Luxor would be based off of Mickey. That's partly the reason. Other reasons are both Luxord and Mickey have been shown to be very good at using time magic. So, we see Mickey use stop like like basically a fourth level like time spell that uh well like I mean I had like dang like that would be a cool spell to have honestly. I mean I'm not really a big fan of the of stop like the spell. I don't really use it a lot. Like when I play the Kingdom Hearts games, I don't really use stop a lot, but Mickey and Luke's are both very good at time magic. And so there's that. And some like I guess more subtle ones like that could hint to that is so Luke's sword, his face reveal is shown at um Port Royal in Kingdom Hearts 2. So, with ships and all that. Mickey Mouse's debut was in Steamboat Willie, where he worked on a steamboat. So you have Mickey debuting in a short film involving a boat, and Luxord showing his face in a world revolved around ships, and he was like a major villain, and when the world was called Caribbean in Kingdom Hearts 3. So it kind of plays out, and basically for Mickey's fights in Cage 3 was against Marluxia, Larxene, and Luxord. There's that. So even though basically there's like no rivalry between Mickey and any of them. And another thing, so in Chain of Memories, Mickey sends Riku some of his power that allows him, I guess, like summon a version of him to like basically like he gives like Mickey gives Riku all like some power, and basically Riku's able to use like a friend card in order to basically heal or in Rechain Marys do that combo attack with Mickey. Um, and so like so and it's a card, and Luxord uses cards for attack. Now that I don't know how much that will play into it, but Mickey being able to give Riku some power that takes the form of a card, you know, maybe that could hint at some things. And honestly, it's kind of surprising that that Luxor could use cards, yet he wasn't in Chain of Memories, considering cards were so important in that game. Like it is actually very it's actually very surprising. Anyway, so yeah, so due to all that, and I think it's very possible that Luxord is based off of, you know, Mickey. And that could be interesting. See how, like, if there's anything about Luxord's personality that we haven't seen that could hint at the similarities. Because that'd be interesting to see. Because maybe Luxord, like, could, like, let's say he maybe acts, so his personality he acts more like how Mickey Mouse used to act in the really early shorts. How in the really early shorts, Mickey Mouse was kind of a prick, and due to basically reasons, Walt Disney had to tone down like his mischievousness. So maybe some of Luke's personality can be similar to like the old Mickey Mouse. Now, I would say a lot of Yazora's other allies in Verum Rex that we haven't seen are they're gonna be, I guess you could say, relatively minor characters. Are going to be based off of Sora's friends throughout the series, where it's the party members, a lot of the NPCs, his friends, from the island, and the dandelions from from Key, and Ephemer's Keyblade Order. And so, and then a lot of the villains I say are gonna be based off Organization 13, the Disney villains, the 13 Darknesses, and the Lost Masters. And basically you'll see different villain like whatever's going on within Verimax, whatever the story is, you'll see a lot of stuff like going on. It'd be interesting to see how that story would go with all those villains. And the Gigas. like the main, I guess, enemy type. They're gonna be based off, the Heartless, the Nobies, the Unversed, Nightmares, and I guess any enemy monster that appears in the future, within the Kingdoms franchise. Because I think past, present, and future are gonna play a big role in Verum Rex. Because the Master saw basically everything through the gazing eye. And that's it. Did y'all like this video? Did you dislike this video? Do you agree with my theories about Verum Rex? Do you think a game is actually going to get made in the future? You know, do you what do you think the story will be? What kind of characters do you think will be in it? Do you agree with my take about like the Masters being involved in the development and like how the game, if a real one gets made, is just going to be Sora playing the game and we're just playing as Sora playing the game? You could put all that stuff in the comments, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Look forward to the next video.